Thanks, listeners. It is time to go out and visit California Trail Interpretive Center and enjoy our public lands today. Our program features our BLM Elko District representatives today from California Trail Interpretive Center. Cheryl Miller joins us alongside Clint Mothershed, who is our fire mitigation education, fire trespass investigation specialist. I got it all out there, Clint. So awesome.
You did. It's a mouthful.
Yes. So thank you. And welcome, Cheryl, to the program today.
Thank you so much. So happy to be here.
So happy to feature all the exciting things we have going into autumn. We're going to start out, though, with the latest news on our fire situation, Clint, and that we have you in studio, as we commented on this program before, is good news because it means you're not out in the fire field.
That's correct. And just so the public knows, all the smoke that we have here is not from Nevada. So it's a lot of fires north of Boise in the forest, and just the way that the weather systems are working, everything's getting pushed down south. So they're expecting it maybe to clear out a little bit over the weekend. Tomorrow we're supposed to possibly get some dry lightning coming through the area. So that happens and you see a fire start, just stay calm, cool, and collected, and dial 911 or 748-4000 and tell them where you're at, tell them what you see, and what direction from where you're at do you see this. So that'll help our dispatch center send the appropriate resources, the closest resources, and an aircraft too. So speaking more about the weather, we're transitioning still out of El Nino. We're almost to neutral conditions now. So for the next 4 months, what they're telling us is above average temperatures and below average precipitation for September. But for October, they're thinking above average temps and above average precipitation. So we might have some relief on the horizon, which will be nice for everybody involved. And on top of that, I think November, December, we're kind of drier, trending drier. So we might be going into one of those cycles where we start entering into the drought again. So as far as fire preparedness goes, nationally, we're still at a level 5 planning. That's the highest it goes. It just means with all the fires going on in the western states, that kind of everybody's just waiting for the next big one to happen, and they brought a lot of resources in from the East Coast, from the Southwest to assist with all the efforts. I think Idaho has 20 fires, some large. I think what I saw in this national situation report yesterday was about 250,000 acres they'd burned forest. So it's why we got all the smoke here today. So we also are getting into hunting season, as we know, and with that, folks need to be aware. We have had a lot of fires in Elko District. They've just been kept small. We call that initial attack success, and that rate usually is in the high 90s percent anyway, but we're still sitting there. I don't know how many fires we've had, but we've had quite a few. They just aren't getting big. So I don't know if that's a combination of appropriate grazing levels out on the public lands, and that we're breaking up that grass, that continuity of the fuels where the fire has a harder time to carry. The sage kind of retained its moisture throughout the summer a little bit more than I think people expected, but all in all, we've had the fires. They just haven't gotten very big. We do have a couple going on, but one is about 400 acres. The other one is about 300. And those started last 5 days, so we're not out of the woods yet. Maybe when October comes, we start getting those nice cold, wet storms that come through, and that'll help put the fire out for the year, if you will. So outside of that, I talked to the chief with Elko County Fire, and although we haven't had a lot of big fires in the area, he still is hesitant to open burning. So we're looking probably in October before people will start being able to do their burn barrels and all that kind of stuff again.
Well, that makes sense, too. Chief Matt Peterson made a presentation to county commissioners on Wednesday. And again, even, when they have so-called downtime, firefighters are at work. You're planning, you're making evacuation plans, you're looking at stations and equipment, ordering supplies for even the next season, right, Clint? There's a lot to do.
Oh, yeah. It's a very logistic intensive field. There's a lot going on all the time. I mean, we're going to start getting into our mowing season here pretty soon. We start mowing fuel breaks, and we start doing that kind of stuff. And it's a fall-time maintenance thing on our existing green strips, which we got quite a few around Elko, the wildland urban interface, the smaller communities outside of Elko, Spring Creek, and all agencies play a part in that. So it's a pretty important thing to us. We realize that, in the West, you're going to have to just learn to live with fire. And that being said, it's hard to keep fire out of places where humans dwell. And given the fact that half of our fires are human-caused starts, it's kind of a preventative thing for us to do that. And I think the way that the federal funding is lining out for the next few years, it's going to be more focused on the wildland-urban interface and not so much of the sage grouse. So that'll put more focus back onto protecting communities and working with communities. So it's a little shift, but it'll probably be for the better.
I think that was the focus when Governor Lombardo first came out, when he was first elected to office, and they had the big summit in the Moyle Canyon. Remember that, Clint?
Yeah.
And they talked about, they showed him, they demonstrated how many homes were at risk and some of our most popular recreation areas. And so I think that kind of started that trend of, well, maybe a nationwide too, focusing on, plus the insurance crisis. Is probably.
Yeah, there's a lot playing into it. Things seem to be getting worse, maybe not necessarily here, because we have had our bad seasons before, burning close to 1 million acres, almost 20 years ago. So we have the potential here, but I think with all these larger communities, unfortunately getting taken out by wildfire, and I think legislators, lawmakers realize that we got to shift our focus to be more reactive or proactive and not so reactive. So instead of waiting for a fire to start, maybe we should get out there and do some fuels treatments and give our firefighters actually a chance to put a fire out before it gets into communities. So the focus is shifting a little bit for the better, in my opinion. So we'll see how it goes. And it's all based off the infrastructure bill funding that Congress had passed a few years ago. So I think for the foreseeable future anyway, that's where the focus will be.
And we do see more efforts too in enhancing the career opportunities for professional firefighters, because that's also been a challenge, because it's not just a seasonal job anymore.
No, you're right. And it's been pretty hard. All agencies have been impacted by it. It's hard to find folks that want to do the wildfire and have that commitment where they're pretty much working all summer. It's hard on the family life. It's a tough job. It's a demanding job with expectations that you will be available and be part of your team, your crew. And it does take a toll on people. It takes a toll on relationships, and so plus around here we have a really great industry for kids coming out of high school. They can go to work at the mines, get put through college and learn a trade, and pretty hard for them to not want to do that, to further their education, better themselves, and in the end make quite a bit of money. So it's just the way it is nowadays.
So we need to do everything we can to prevent those human-caused fires. As you said, about half are lightning or natural causes, certainly. And that we can come back to hunting and scouting, because I think that's really important. But defensible space and home hardening is something that people can do, should be doing responsibly, especially as we are sort of in the height of fire season. We still have several weeks of local fire season, right?
Yeah, potential for sure. In 2011, on I think September 30th, we hadn't had fires all summer, and then we had a low pressure system come in with some lightning on the leading edge of the system, and not a lot of rain, but a lot of wind. And we ended up with a few large fires, and we actually had a couple firefighters that they decided to tie the knot on October 1st, thinking we'd be out of fire season. So that was a pretty interesting thing, where a lot of people were in the wedding, were planning on enjoying the weekend, and plans changed pretty quickly. So
well, that's memorable for sure.
Yes, it definitely is. When you have to fly the groom in on a helicopter, yes, it's a very interesting thing. So
how romantic.
Yes. So you're right. We're several weeks out from being safe, and unfortunately right now the crystal ball is not telling us when the moisture is going to come in October. But for folks now, you have all year to do this, but if you haven't done it yet, mow around your homes. Just make sure that you're safe. That mow things down to 2-3 inches off the ground, just to break up that fuel, so fire can't carry anywhere near your dwelling. Is essentially the thing to do. And if you want more tips on that or ideas, you can go to nevadafireinfo.org, and there's a lot of great information there. You can also go to livingwithfire.com, and that kind of the same information, but multiple platforms to be able to look at stuff. So we recommend that you do any treatments like that early in the morning when the humidities are at their highest point in the day, and definitely have a fire extinguisher and a shovel, or a charged hose, a hose with a nozzle on it with the water turned on, and a shovel, just in case. It doesn't take much. We've had fires, human-caused fires lately. We had a fire in the middle of a meadow out in Lee that just just happened through the baler. I mean, the field was really dry, and luckily we kept that to about 7 acres, but some hay was lost. But it's just not out of the woods, and everyday things that people do, you just need to keep in the back of your mind that that you could cause a fire by doing some of these simple things.
Talking with Clint Mothershed from Elko BLM District about our fire season, which is currently underway, and hunting season, scouting or hunting, getting out. I hear this too from families. They say, well, can we do a fire? We want to roast marshmallows. We just want the ambiance of a campfire. And it depends, right?
It does depend. Right now, we're in stage 1 fire restrictions, which allows the public, if you go to a fee-paying site, meaning you go to an established campground where you pay a daily rate to stay at, the reason they can have open fire, they can have wood fires in those places. There will be caveats that if the winds are too high, they might put a red flag or something like out there telling you that you can't do this. But it's definitely on a day-to-day basis. But at least you have that opportunity to have the natural ambiance. You can go to any other site you want to, any of your favorite spots, and just use propane. Anything with an on-off functionality switch, you can do that. You can take your propane fire pit out there that you can sit around and at least get somewhat of the ambiance and a little bit of heat. But right now, stage 1 restrictions, other things within those restrictions, which you can look at NevadaFireInfo.org, but it's basically kind of centering around what we're about to talk about with hunting season. Driving off-road is a pretty big no-no. The fuels are definitely dry out there. The continuity's kind of broken up, but you get hunting season and someone sees a big animal and they want to get to it and there's no road, so they try to make a road and they get stuck and overheat their engine trying to get unstuck, and next thing you know, they ignite the grass underneath their vehicle and then it's a whole mess. So it's best just to stay on the roads. Think about what you're doing. If you're taking a trailer with you, check your tires. If they're weather checked and old, which happens more frequently than people like to admit. Your trailers might sit for 10 months out of the year. You only use them for a couple, and if they park in the same spot, the tires that are on the side of the sun, getting hit by the sun on the south side, they might be a little bit more worn out than the ones on the north, and you can get a blowout. Your trailer chains, that's a big one. We've had trailer chain fires this year. From striking the asphalt on the interstate. Exhaust, if your vehicle's not running right, please take it and have it looked at by a mechanic. So
And that goes for ATVs, UTVs as well.
Absolutely. And then when you get into ATVs, UTVs, you also have to worry about, some people like to modify what they have, and sometimes the exhaust, they have high performance exhausts on them, and basically they allow the whole engine to breathe better and easier, because they take out little screens that are supposed to catch carbon particles, or they make that screen bigger where carbon particles can get through, and those things will ignite the grass in the right conditions. So it's just best to be safe and not be sorry.
And as you talked about traveling on those dirt roads, the two tracks, if there's tall grass in the middle, you need to be concerned about that. And same thing with parking, pulling over and parking in dry grass.
Absolutely. I mean, you could overwork your brakes driving somewhere, come down a steep grade and decide to pull off where you can glass, and there's not a real good spot, so you pull off into the grass, and you've got hot brakes, you got a hot exhaust. If you're a diesel, you could have the regeneration, which increases a component of your exhaust, the temperature, so you can ignite stuff that way. There's quite a few different ways that fires can start just based off of simple things. It's just be mindful of what you're doing. Really, we do understand that hunting's a big part of the economy and the lifestyle here, and we definitely don't want people not to go out and enjoy themselves and have a good and successful hunt. But we just have to warn everybody that there are repercussions if you unfortunately start a fire.
Well,
on
thanks,
BLM
Clint.
land anyway. So.
Well, and that Clint is also an investigator, so you don't want to see him show up at your door for any reason unless it's for a barbecue.
Right. And if you do go to NevadaFireInfo.org, there is a map, an interactive map, where you can click on the area you want to go to, and it will tell you what the fire restrictions are. It'll open up another dialog box, and it will tell you. It might even show you the actual document and the language within the document of what the fire restrictions are for that area at this point in time. And it's probably going to be into October before we go out of fire restrictions. So early season deer hunters and anybody hunting prior to that for different species and weapon types, it's just got to be very careful and mindful. So.
Thank you, Clint, for the reminder. For anybody listening that wants to meet Clint and maybe ask some questions, talk about how to harden your home or your personal property, you're going to be at a few of these special events this next few weeks.
Possibly. We do have these upcoming events, and I think, we're going to try to have Smokey Bear to come to a couple of them. So obviously this weekend we have the Rides and Rods car show in Elko. It's a pretty big event. It's a pretty cool event. It's one of the last outdoor events of the year. With fair weather anyway, so I encourage people to come out and support that event, and possibly there'll be a photo op with Smokey and maybe some Smokey Bear swag for the kids, and then also at the Elko County Fairgrounds, it's kind of a really cool event. It's a Gold Rush Challenge bull riding, so it's all about bull riding. It's kind of it's a cool event. They've been growing it every year, and I think it's an event that we sponsor. So. I think that it'll be here for the foreseeable future, and the Benavides brothers do an excellent job with it. So, and then obviously we've got the Ruby Mountain Balloon Festival coming later in the month, and we'll probably try to have Smokey at one of those events that, they have the events in Spring Creek and they have them in Elko, so we don't know which one and where, and it just depends on the availability of Smokey himself, if we can attend that. So,
what's Smokey's favorite snack? Maybe that would help.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
That's a good question.
Yeah, work on that. So we know what, Yogi Bear likes, picnic baskets, and Winnie the Pooh likes honey. So I don't know, kids, think about what Smokey would like best. Maybe he likes jerky. So Ruby Mountain Balloon Festival, as you just talked about, we often look for Smokey to be in there. So I know.
Yeah, unfortunately, the big Smokey balloon didn't make it this year.
To our cut, yeah.
Yeah,
He'll be in Reno.
He'll be in Reno. Maybe next year. They're getting another balloon made, so they'll have two. So,
Clint, thank you so much for the update. I know Cheryl, your colleague, has been waiting quietly because she's got a list of fun things, and we appreciate your being on the program today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and hey, welcome, Cheryl. Thanks for helping support Clint there with all that fire information. So.
Oh, for sure. It's really important information. Living in a fire-adapted community is not always the most intuitive place to live. So it's really important for us to listen to the firefighters and take advantage of all of their great tips and fireproof our homes and all that good stuff. So I'm very happy to play second fiddle to this important information today. And it's always good for me to hear too. So thanks for that, Clint.
Absolutely, you guys. Our colleagues from California Trail Interpretive Center, Elko District BLM, and even though September is here and kids are back in school, you still have a full slate of amazing activities, Cheryl.
Oh, yeah. We've got a lot of fun stuff planned for the weekends, mainly in September. I'm hoping that all the local families and our friends will come out. The first thing we've got coming up is on September 7th. That's a Sunday at 1 p.m. And we've got Ranger Evie, who's going to be leading some watercolor map making. So that should be really fun. So bring all your creative energy and meet Ranger Evie to do some watercolor and map making.
That'll be this weekend. Super cool.
That's right. Coming up.
All right. And also another great aspect of California Trail Center is the way that you collaborate with other agencies. And you've got an Observe the Moon Night coming up.
Yep, that's for sure. So one of our best partners to work with and ones that we work with every day is the Nevada Outdoor School. And we have Macy leading, on September 14th, an International Observe the Moon Night. So if you didn't know, that is a special holiday for observing the moon. And so at 8 p.m., we will be getting out all of our telescopes. We have NOS, Nevada Outdoor School, coming, and they're bringing their s'mores kit. So we'll have a campfire and s'mores. We'll also have our telescopes out, and then we will have a painting craft for any of the children that come up. That'll be great for all ages. And even if it's cloudy, you should still come on out because we'll plan on having some indoor activities. We'll still have our painting craft, and you never know, the clouds could clear, after you come in and do the fun stuff. So even if it's cloudy, come on out again, September 14th at 8 p.m.
That's the International Observe the Moon Night, and you can just kind of feel the magic of the moon in the company of others. And what's nice is to have that telescope and then have a person who's experienced who can show you what you're looking for, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll have our rangers out. They have this really cool laser pointer that points all the way up into the heavens to point out all the cool stars. And then, of course, we'll be there to observe the moon. And I would say, bring binoculars if you have them. If you've never looked at the moon through binoculars, that's actually really spectacular. Bring blankets, bring chairs, bring some snacks. And of course, your friends and family, we'd love to see you all out.
Thanks, Cheryl. What a cool night. I did want to pop in too. I spoke with Julie Gabrielson from Department of Wildlife, and she said that you guys will be part of the Teachers Adventure Fair at the museum on Wednesday, September 11th.
We are. Ranger Evie again is up to all kinds of fun stuff. She's going to be working with teachers and telling them about all the great opportunities that we have. Of course, we have lots and lots of wonderful field trips that come out to the Trail Center. So if you're a teacher and you want to bring your kids out to the Trail Center, we'd love to have you. Just give us a call or shoot me an email. We'll get you on the schedule. But yeah, we're working with teachers and students, all just trying to get more people excited about the Pioneer experience and this incredible ecosystem that we live in.
And then California Trail Interpretive Center hosts some neat sewing programs, right? And that's a hands-on skill that boys and girls and, even first-time people or those who have some skills have really been enjoying. This one's growing, right?
Yes, and this is something we do every month. We have a wonderful volunteer, shout out to Brenda, who comes out once a month to do an activity, to lead a sewing activity. And the Trail Center provides all of the sewing machines, the thread, the materials, the pattern, and of course the loving expertise from Brenda. That's the most important thing for sewing. I don't know about you, Lori, but I get a little nervous around sewing. That's not my forte. But Brenda's wonderful tutelage and energy always gets me through the projects. It's really fun, and she'll be leading some hand warmers and neck warmers on Sunday, the 15th at 1 p.m. So September 15th, 1 p.m. Come join us to make hand warmers and neck warmers. And of course, the pioneers didn't make neck warmers out of rice and hand warmers out of rice, but we know that they did use pebbles and stones to warm in the fireplace, put into their bedding, put into their pockets, things like that. So this will be in the pioneer spirit, maybe not exactly how the pioneers may have stayed warm, but following their spirit in terms of having warmers to go made out of natural materials.
Oh, that's excellent, Cheryl. And again, these are free programs. And we noticed this month during September, the California Trail Interpretive Center seems to be really emphasizing art. And of course, we knew that people were practicing their art and craft, all of their amazing, as much downtime as they could get, because it was a lot of hard work. But can you imagine painting along the California Trail?
Well, I can now. We're going to run another wonderful program. It's going to be Wagons at Dusk, another watercolor adventure. And that's going to be on a Saturday, September 21st at 1 p.m. Again, our creative ranger, Evie, is going to be leading that activity. And she'll be helping you bring the iconic journey of the wagon to life in watercolor. And you bring up a really good point, Lori, in that there were lots of things happening along the trail that weren't just hard work, that weren't just writing in the journals. They had to have fun and entertain themselves as well. And oftentimes they took Sunday off and didn't travel on Sundays. And so they had their fiddles with them. They had mouth harps. They had books. And they had all kinds of things to keep themselves entertained, not just the adults, but also the kids. And so we like to capitalize on these fun activities and not only help you understand the California Trail, but also help you get in touch with your creative side.
Wow, what fun. That made me think. I wonder, in addition to music, if they actually did some theater along the way, if they brought like a volume of Shakespeare, or, how fun would that be? Or wrote their own play. Yeah.
For sure. I don't know about you guys, but when I was a kid, I used to do little plays and skits and things like that to entertain the adults. So I bet they did that on the trail as well.
Oh, how much fun is that? California Trail Interpretive Center, capturing our imagination. At the same time, you're sneaking in a bit of education, because almost all these projects, there's some science in there. There's the history, obviously. And then you're, looking at, manipulating materials. For example, this program on beeswax candles sounds cool.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. So we're not only having fun and making crafts, we're also learning about the pioneer experience, and the beeswax candles is a really good example of that. And Macy, who works for the Nevada Outdoor School, is going to be leading the beeswax candle making event on September 27th. That's a Friday afternoon. So those of you that are off on Friday or have kids out of school, come bring them out 1:00 on September 27th. And these are the exact ways that pioneers would have made candles. And so this is a really authentic experience because if you think back, of course, they didn't have electricity along the trail. And so candles would have been a very, very important way to light the way, a way to read at night, entertain themselves, things like that. And so you may not think about it, but candles were actually a really important tool for the pioneers. And Macy will be talking about that before she gets into the actual candle making. And the coolest part is you will get to take your very own beeswax candle home with you that you made. She'll have some different colors, some different shapes. And then you'll also learn about how important the candles were to the pioneer experience. So a good combination there.
That sounds great, Cheryl. Thanks again for, bringing all these programs to our attention and encouraging the community. This is something that our community is really looking forward to now that we have this trail center. And as you mentioned, with no school on Fridays, that's really been a help to families. These are free programs.
Absolutely. And with the candle making, it does require a little bit of dexterity to roll up your candles. So if you do have little ones, I would say plan on making the candle with them. This will be a craft that'll take a little bit of adult supervision or help as well. So bring the kids out, bring out your family, but do plan on helping out those littles for the candle making.
So Cheryl, talking about these cool programs, California Trail Interpretive Center, some of these favorite things are going to continue even into the months ahead, right? You go into winter hours.
Exactly. So October 1st, we'll go to winter hours, which means we'll be closed on Mondays and Tuesdays. We'll be open Wednesdays through Sundays. So mark your calendars. Make sure you don't come out on Monday or Tuesday after October 1st. We have some really fun things on the horizon for October. We've got some different Halloween events. We're hoping to get Clint and some firefighters out. We'll see. I don't know. He's given me a little head nod. I'm not sure. We'll see if we can get some firefighters out, but we've got more fun events planned for October. Just check our social media account, check out our website, and you can always just give us a call if you're wondering what kinds of events we have. And as you mentioned, Lori, they're always free to the public. And one thing that we're looking for to keep these programs free is some holiday fabric donations. So if you've got some holiday fabric down in your attic or up in your attic or down in your basement, in your extra bedroom, we'd love to have you drop those off so that we can use those. We've got some fun holiday crafts coming up in November and December. And so if you have any holiday fabrics out there, we're looking specifically for fleece or any fun patterns for making. We've got some hats and some mittens that we'll be making coming up to go with the cold weather. So if you've got any of those extra fabrics, we'd love to have you drop them off at the Trail Center.
And if you're thinking about the festive holiday season, I guess it's never too early to start shopping, and you have a wonderful gift shop there. And I see here there's a special sale going on.
Yep, you guys, this is going to be your opportunity. We've got, 9 days left. So we've got 30% off everything in our bookstore until September 14th. And so if you are looking for some of those cool stickers, we've got some shirts, we've got some cool magnets. We've actually got a lot of really cool holiday ornaments too. If you're looking for holiday ornaments, we've got some beautiful art, great books. So if you're looking to shop early for Christmas, or you just have wanted to buy some things at the Trail Center, come on out before the 14th. We'll give you 30% off, and we'd love to see you out.
Oh, that's nice. And as always, Cheryl, we put out a call for volunteers because everything that we just talked about requires hands-on help. And, justserve.org is a great website for people looking for opportunities and then for organizations looking for volunteers. But you're hoping people will call you and get involved.
For sure. We're always looking for volunteers. It's always nice to have us paid staff, but our volunteers are really what makes everything run at the California Trail Center. And we look for volunteers to help us at the front desk. So if you're friendly and you like to talk to people, the front desk may be a great place for you. We also are looking for people to help us with our crafts and our hands-on programs. We're also looking for people to lead. We're looking for assistance with ranger programs. So like I said, we have tons of field trips that come up in the fall and winter and spring, and we need people to just help us keep the kids on track, help us stay on schedule, maybe run some of the activities, things like that. So if you like kids, you like talking with people, we've got some great volunteer opportunities, but also if you just like to work outside, we've got plenty of stewardship activities, projects that you can work on either in a team. So if you've got a scouting organization or a service organization, you can come out together, or if you just have a couple hours and you'd like to come out on your own, we'd love to have you. And so again, just give us a call, shoot me an email. We'd love to put you to work out at the California Trail Center.
Cheryl, thank you so much for all the inspiration. This is such a wonderful resource in our community. We love to share it with our visitors, but it's so popular with our community. And the work that you're doing, you and the small staff of dedicated people and volunteers are really making this happen. So call California Trail Interpretive Center 775-738-1849. Just like the Gold Rush. And you can visit the website. You can email Cheryl at clmiller@blm.gov. But don't miss out on this opportunity. And I know we'll be talking again next month because it's hard to believe the holidays are almost here. But yeah, I know.
Oh my gosh. And we have so many fun things planned. We got Pioneer Christmas. We've got a Halloween event. So stay tuned. We've got tons of fun events out there.
Thank you so much, Cheryl, for all the enthusiasm. And thank you, Clint, for being on the radio alongside Cheryl today and bringing us the fire news. There we go.
You bet, Lori. My
Thank
pleasure.
you. Thanks, listeners, for joining us for Elko Live today with our guest from California Trail Center. Find them online or visit them. They're 8 miles west of Elko on I-80. Just take the Hunter exit. It's super easy to get there, and you will be delighted that you did.